Hello, my name is Tiffany Chang, and this is Conductor as CEO, where I share some of my ideas about leadership. I imagine a world where conductors make artistic organizations great, like CEOs make businesses great. First, by being of service to its people. We know empathy is hard. It requires us to see, hear, think, and feel from someone else's perspective. It is uncomfortable because we've never lived their life and experienced their circumstances. We may get close, but not exactly. And the best that we can do is imagine what it is like and how it affects the way they interact with the world. If it takes me 10 minutes to walk 2 blocks to work, I can only attempt to imagine what it would be like to have to commute 3 hours. We often say, I can't imagine, when we try to be sympathetic to others. It is almost as if the impossibility of our ability to imagine lets us off the hook from even trying. But what if we actually tried to imagine? Well, sometimes we imagine right, and other times we couldn't be more wrong. We will never really know. And our interpretation of their worldview affects our relationship with them. We may think we know what they need or want, but it is merely our interpretation, perhaps originating from what we'd need or want ourselves. And again, we can only do our best. Empathy is the key to trust and a feeling of safety, whether it's a relationship between 2 people or a culture within an entire organization. We know we need empathy to be excellent leaders, friends, or colleagues, and we know we can always get better at it. But we also need to understand what empathy is not. Jamil Zaki shares, empathy is not protecting others' feelings, but it's building a relationship by saying what needs to be said. As human beings, we all want to belong. We want others to like us, and we develop the habit to please. So we interpret empathy as only being nice and saying things others want to hear. We actually don't feel like we have permission to be truthful when what we have to say may be difficult to hear or may contradict. We wonder, what if they get angry? What if I come across as being incompetent? We see this in the default conductor versus ensemble relationship all the time. It is ingrained in our training to expect conflicts between conductor and ensemble, and we try our hardest to avoid these conflicts. As conductors, we are given advice about how to establish our authority and how to manage an ensemble's disgruntled attitudes. The key here being we learn to expect disgruntled as a default. As ensemble musicians, we are given advice about how to prevent run-ins with the conductor, what to call them so as to not disrespect, or really not to damage their ego, and how to get them to like us artistically and personally so we'd be hired again. There's a lot of walking on eggshells here, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. What we are really doing is managing other people's impressions of us. What do they think of me? How does it affect my status in the mind of others or in the organization? We are on the defensive, afraid of saying what needs to be said, and not living in a relationship that is open to discourse. In that relationship, we don't have what Amy Edmondson calls psychological safety, which she describes as a climate where people believe they can freely speak up about anything. So instead of using empathy to create a pristine and conflict-free relationship, we can use it to understand the messiness that is inevitable for relationships, and to set the stage for honest discourse about how we can navigate the relationship together. So instead of using empathy to create a pristine and conflict-free relationship, we can use it to understand the messiness that is inevitable for relationships, and to set the stage for honest discourse about how we can navigate the relationship together. Empathy, at the very least, allows us to begin from a platform of respect. Even if we can only imagine where someone else is coming from, simply attempting to do so is surprisingly appreciated. Then, after we feel seen, we have a deeper capacity to consider feedback and consider differing opinions. This then gives us permission to adopt a learning mindset where the goal is to figure things out together. And in that environment, we do have permission to speak up, to speak openly and honestly. Poor performance is poor performance, and there's often no need to sugarcoat it. However, when a conductor is curious about understanding why a musician's having a bad day artistically, the conversation is no longer about whether there is a problem, but it pivots toward finding feasible solutions given that understanding. No threats to protect our authority, no belittling to prove we're right, and no public shaming to make sure someone knows they're wrong. There may not be a nicely packaged solution waiting for us, and the conversations won't be easy. But it leaves space for us, rather than our hiding behind the closed doors of me versus them. A mutual understanding of where each other is coming from helps us feel more safe and trusted in situations of conflict. It is not about working hard to shelter our feelings from each other, but rather protecting the integrity of the relationship that enables real work to be done together. I don't have all the answers, and neither do you. And together, we can attempt to move forward. If these ideas resonate with you, please consider signing up in the link below to receive an email with each new blog post sent directly to your inbox. Thank you, and have a great day.